YouTube? Curtain6693 here, here to bring you gaming, anime news, as well as anything that I find interesting. Today I wanted to review Batman Arkham Origins. Man. So, I got Batman Arkham Origins that around that the day that it came out. And yeah, I beat it on hard mode the next day. And I played most of the side missions. I let a friend borrow it for a couple of days while I'm playing Assassin's Creed 4, which I'll be reviewing that in the next, whenever I beat it. Probably this weekend or in the next week or so. But man, Batman Arkham Origins. What do I have to say about that game, man? Well, first off, I'll probably talk. I'm talk a little bit about the story, the gameplay, the look of the game, all the different stuff. I won't review the multiplayer mainly because I haven't played it yet, and to be honest, why would you? I'm not gonna critique the game based off the multiplayer because let's be honest, whether it's good, whether it's not, it's tacked on. I mean, you play Call. If you want to play a game for multiplayer, play Call of Duty. Play Battlefield. Um, you know, I mean, the Arkham series, especially like a game like this, you play it for the single player, the story, and the gameplay experience. But let's break it down. So, premise of the story. So this is like Batman first 2 years in. Black Mask. He's pretty much fed up with Batman pretty much fucking shit up. So he calls out a hit. He calls out 8 assassins. They're all gonna gang up and they're all gonna cause havoc and they're all gonna hunt down Batman on this one night. And and this is now the thing that's very unique about this storyline is that it talks about the origin story. It talks about Batman's first encounter with the Joker. When he first meets Killer Croc. When he first has to deal with these more powerful supervillains, so to speak, like Bane and Deadshot, Deathstroke, and Shiva, or Shiva, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Copperhead. Oh, Copperhead. But that's pretty much the premise of the story. Now I will say this: I am going to be having spoilers in this video. So if you still watch this video, you don't care. I'm pretty sure everyone's beating it by now. I mean, come on. But yeah, if you don't want to see spoilers, I suggest you come back after you beat it because I will be talking about spoilers from this point on. Okay, so the story. Now I'll be kind of honest. There are things about the story that I really like. I enjoyed the fact that it's in my opinion, it's a lot darker. It's a lot more. There is something a little bit darker, more. I won't say gloomy, but just something that's very dark and eerie about the storyline. Um, I don't know if more serious is the right word, but there's something different about the Arkham Origins storyline that I really like. I thought they fit the tone very well. I really love the relationship that Batman has with Alfred, and how you see how that relationship grows, and you also see how he comes to eventually trust Commissioner Gordon, and Commissioner Gordon eventually trusts him, and then at the end of the storyline, you see Batman finally realizing maybe I can't do all this shit by myself. Maybe it would be nice to have that one guy, that one guy on the police force that can call, like, hey, come do this for me, come do that for me, and it shows that Batman grows a lot from that one night. And it's kind of crazy to think that this game only takes place 5 years before Arkham Asylum, because you think, like that means Batman's been busy creating a huge epic storyline that leads up to Arkham Asylum, because by that point he knew all the villains. He knew. It's just like. Honestly, I would think that Arkham Origins will take place maybe even 10 years before, just because we all know from knowing the comic books and knowing the universe of Batman that there's a lot that goes on, up till later on in before Batman becomes more established. But anyways, yeah, the storyline. One thing, and those are things I did like, but one thing that I didn't like. And this would be for spoilers, is the fact that the game introduces Black Mask and introduces the assassins, but then halfway through you find out that it was Joker that was the one who really hired the assassins, and that he took out Black Mask days beforehand or something like that, and it was really him. And I didn't. And while that did have a surprise effect, I honestly didn't like that as much as I thought I would, because I feel like this game made by a different company, was the it felt like that was a missed opportunity. I felt like it was more of a cop out. We've already seen Joker being the main person behind the scenes. We've seen that in Asylum. We've seen that kind of, well, not really in Arkham City, but he was kind of the final villain. The final, say so in the game. We've seen Joker being the face of Batman storyline. So wow, this was the perfect opportunity to really bring out Black Mask, because after Joker and Bane pretty much take over, you pretty much don't really you forget about the assassins. You forget about that whole thing. It's basically just about Joker and Bane. There are other things that go on too, but I just kind of feel like it was just a huge waste of opportunity. Like they could have brought out some. I don't mind Joker having an impact on the story, but I felt like making him the final villain again, I feel like they could have done something different. They could have brought out, they could have done a lot with Black Mask. They could have done a lot with, hell, Deathstroke. Because one thing I didn't like is how some of the villains are introduced. Like Deathstroke, like you're chasing Penguin, and then all of a sudden Deathstroke comes out of nowhere, and then you fight him in this, and it was a pretty cool battle. It was a pretty cool counterattack battle, But then once you beat him once, and also like in the trailers, you see him when you're fighting him on some dock, and Deadshot is trying to shoot you. None of that's in the game. Now I do know that trailers do show certain things, but they may not really, it might not go down exactly that way in the game. But I felt like they could have done that. They could have. I felt like Deathstroke was pushed so much in the trailer, only to have him just kind of you just fight him once, and then you just never see him again until after the credits. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I just kind of felt like a lot of the villains are underplay, like Shiva, she's a side quest. That so is Deadshot, and I knew that some of the villains were going to have better shine than others, but I wish that all the villains could have been incorporated into the storyline. But then they also have side missions, that take place a little bit later on that you can do. I'm just basically, I feel like the 8 assassins were not used properly. They were not used as well as they could be. So yeah, and and some of the battles were really cool. I just kind of felt like it was just over too quick. I just kind of felt like, oh, this villain popped up. Okay, I beat them up. Now moving on. I feel like there wasn't really any real substance. That would be kind of honest. Arkham City's done the same. Arkham City kind of did the same thing with like a Clayface and Solomon Grundy, but at the same time, really, what are you gonna do with those villains besides fight them? It's understandable. But I feel like with this, they could have really. And I'm not saying that every single assassin has to have some 3-hour storyline or something. But I'm just saying that I do think that more could have been done with the assassins, and also the fact that Joker was the final villain again. I feel like that was a little bit of a cop out. I feel like they could have done something else with that. What else about the story? Also, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it. The post-credit scene after you defeat Joker, and basically, you're finally on good terms with Commissioner Gordon. You see Deadshot in the Blackgate prison, and he's approached by, I think this woman's name, Amanda Walker, and apparently there's I don't know much about this, but apparently it's something about like a Suicide Squad or some kind of like an anti-Justice League or something. I don't know, but maybe it's setting up for a DLC. Maybe it's setting up for another game, or they may pop up in the next Arkham game that takes place out the city. But apparently this woman, Amanda Walker, she approaches Deathstroke in the prison. She's basically saying, join my team or ride into prison, and I'm pretty much Deathstroke's gonna say yeah, because I know he eventually becomes part of the Suicide Squad. I don't know much about the Suicide Squad. I haven't read a whole lot of Batman comics, but I've played so many games. I've seen the TV shows. After a while, you just know Batman. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I do think that the ending of the game, besides the post-credit scene, I thought that could have been a little bit better. Because it just kind of ends like, oh yeah, you beat Joker, yay! You are now welcomed by some of the people. The end. I don't know. I just feel like it could. I feel like it could have been a little bit better. And it's also with Arkham. Also with Arkham City too. Arkham City, it kind of ended with me kind of going like, wait, is that it? but at the same time, I think it was meant to do that, you know. But overall, the story. While I do think the story is cool, I do think that it could have been done, you know, a little bit better. I felt like it was a missed opportunity on the development team's part to really do something different. They did introduce the villains. We now know more about them, but just they could have done more. Now let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay, and I think this is what a lot of people have the biggest problem with. The gameplay is a lot like Arkham City. As a matter of fact, it's 85% of it is like Arkham City. You know, same combat system, same stealth system, same way you go about things. And the problem that I have with people in this is the fact that it's not really a bad thing. To be honest, let's face it, the way the fighting system and the stealth system that Arkham City and Arkham Asylum have are great. They don't need to be changed in my opinion. At least not for this generation of Batman games. They don't need to be changed. So in that respect, Arkham Origins does some things right. It adds new features such as shot gloves, which pretty much makes you pretty much unstoppable. You can punch through shielded enemies with tasers, enemies with bats, with knives. You can punch through anything. So you have those. You have a couple new takedowns, which I honestly feel like they could have done more with that. But I'll get to the bad side of it later. But yeah, so you have the shot gloves. And in stealth, the stealth is pretty much the exact same, except you have a remote claw which you can like attach two objects to, and then they'll snap together, that's really cool. But yeah, and then there are a couple new things, you know, like with the Riddler. Now they're called data packs, and he's called Enigma. I mean, but really, come on, you should kind of figure that out. Um, what else? What else? What else? There's fast travel. You can go back to the Batcave. You can talk to Alfred. Some of the gadgets, some of the new gadgets you get are really just renames of the old ones. Like the glue grenade is the same thing as the other grenade that you get, the freeze grenade that you get in Arkham City. Like, yeah, like I said, I'll get to that a little bit later. But you have the glue grenade. You know, you have some of the other stuff. But most of the part of the gameplay is pretty much the same. Now let me get to things I don't like. That thing is if I felt like, wow, the fact that it's the same is a good thing, which means that they stuck to the thing that made the other games great. I feel like they still could have done more. I feel like that, okay, you add the remote claw, and yeah, it's fun, but it doesn't change the experience. And when I mean by change, I don't mean like make it completely different, and because you already know people are going to complain like, oh, it's not the same. But what I'm saying is that I felt like they could have done more to make it, to really bring something new to the table. And they did bring, basically, I kind of feel like Arkham Origins is Arkham City with sprinkles. Now, that isn't a bad thing, but it isn't the best that they can do. The shot glove, while they're cool, and I really love the shot glove. The shot gloves they do change how you fight. I love the shot gloves. I love some of the new features, but I felt like they could have done more. I felt like they could have added in a lot more takedowns than they did. I mean, there's maybe like a couple new takedowns that pop up here and there, but for the most part, it's generally the same. A lot of the moves are generally the same. The grappling, it feels the exact same. I mean, I wish that they had to change the animation, or something, just make it feel different. And also, Gotham City, you can play through Arkham City, and like before it became Arkham City, like that part of Gotham, and you can go across the bridge and all that. And the game is twice as big and it's great. But like I said, the only part, and a lot of people say that the city feels dead, and I think that's incredibly stupid, because it's meant to be that way. Like, it's meant to be that way because it's Christmas Eve, it's a curfew, nobody's outside, and like many people have said, if civilians were walking around, what would you do with them? I mean, really. Now I would be kind of honest though, like Arkham City did have like some civilians, like, kind of like living in tents or just kind of standing there. And I agree, some of that could have been in Arkham Origins, but that doesn't bother me. One of the biggest things that bothers me is that you can't grapple to a lot of places, like the bridge, different, like some parts of the bridge, some buildings you can't grapple up on, different things like that. But that's little things. But yeah, overall I feel that with the gameplay that I just feel like while they did add new things, none of it really pushed it as far as it could have went. They could have really done some really cool. They could have added in new stealth mechanics. They could have added in new ways to take down enemies. They could have added in new ways to distract enemies. They could have added in new features. They could have done. They could have added in a bunch of new takedowns. They could have added in like maybe double takedowns where you can take down two people at once. Or hell, even triple takedown. I mean, they could have done. They could have added in new moves, like you had the one move you could jump up and you could throw batarangs on the floor and knock everybody out. They could have done something different with that. They could have done something different with a move where you can jump down and make bats go everywhere and confuse the fuck out of people. I just feel like they could have really pushed it and they didn't. They added on but they didn't push it as far as they wanted to. Same thing with detective mode. Like the one thing that's so cool is that you can rewind the crime scenes and see how this person died, see who killed them, did they drop something. It's all cool. But the problem that I have with it is that it walks you through it. Like it'll show a little red dot thing in it, or like an arrow, and it'll tell you where to go, where to look next. And I kind of feel like that was a cop out. You know what I mean? They could have really had you take your time, study the crime scene, try to find the missing clues. But then like let's say like you're stuck on the same crime scene for 5 minutes and you can't find out what to do next. Then the red thing will pop up. But at the beginning, they should encourage you to figure it out for your own self. I feel like that the game will walk you through a lot of those missions and it was just easy. It passed you by. Basically, yeah, a lot of things in Arkham Origins are great. It just feels like it just feels like a lot of things they did felt like a wasted opportunity. The graphics are great. There are some scenes where I like this one scene where you're facing Firefly on the bridge, and I thought that some things could look a little better, but for the most part the graphics, they're pretty much more the same. They're good looking. Um, but yeah, my final verdict of the game is the fact that it's a good game. It's a really good game, but it is missing some of the charm that made Arkham City great. So my final verdict of the game, I would probably give Batman Arkham Origins an 8 out of 10, and maybe a 7.5. 7.7. I'll give it a 7.7 out of 10. It's a good game. I'm gonna keep it and I'm gonna play it for a long time to come. I'm gonna keep it with my Arkham collection, but true, it is missing some of that charm that made Arkham City such a great game. But at the same time, though, I can't complain because it's made by a different company. I'm sure they don't want to take too many risks. And we all know that when Rocksteady retakes the Arkham City franchise, they're going to do something crazy with it. But also, I want to take a few seconds to talk about, some of the glitches and the bugs that have been in the game. I've heard people talk about falling out of the world. I know like certain relay towers, they can't escape from the relay. Like on PC, they can't escape from the relay tower. I've heard people. My game, it kept freezing on me every time we would try to get into the Warner Brothers servers or something, or every time it would auto save, it would just freeze. It would freeze like every hour or so. On my 360, I have a 360 version. It would just keep freezing, and then it froze like a dozen times in one night, and I had to keep restarting my console. And it got annoying as fuck. But then I also read that if you play the game offline, then it doesn't try to contact the servers, and it doesn't cause it to crash. And that's one problem that I have with a lot of games nowadays is all these, and they say they're going to patch it, but that's a problem that I have. I hate the fact that a lot of games nowadays are coming out, like even GTA 5, Batman Arkham Origins, Diablo 3, like all these games, they have these bad startups where when the game first comes out on day one, shit don't work, shit keeps crashing, the online servers aren't that good, nobody can get into the game. It's always, then they say, oh, we'll patch it a couple weeks down the road. Fix your shit before it comes out. That's one thing I can't stand. Fix your shit before the game comes out. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that's bothering me. It's I felt like I would have minded waiting a few extra weeks for them to fix all these bugs and patches. Um, um, yeah, that's just one thing I want to talk about that bothers me. Is just the fact that it feels like a lot of these games that are coming out now, it feels like the developers know that they're not complete, but they release them anyway. But that's a whole other video. But yeah, the game is great. Here's what I would say: if you like Arkham City, if you really love Batman, get the game. But if you just a casual Batman, like you like the games, but you're not like really like into it, then borrow it from a friend. I let my friend borrow mine. I don't know. I guess I would say rent it, but I don't know where the fuck you would rent nowadays because they say Blockbuster's going out next year for good. And honestly, I haven't even seen a blockbuster in like 5 years anyway. But yeah, if or wait till it gets cheap, then get it. I don't know. It is a good. It is a good. The thing is, the only thing I like about the reviews is some reviews say it's a bad game. It's not a bad game. Fuck that. The voice acting is incredible. Trailbreaker is incredible. All the voice acting is incredible. I mean, the storyline, while it is not as polished as Arkham City in the previous games, it is still a good game. It is a good game. Like if Arkham City didn't exist and they came out with Arkham Origins before, after Arkham Asylum, I guarantee the game will probably get awards and all that type of shit. But it's just the fact that people are comparing it to Arkham City that they're like, oh yeah, it's not that great, you know. But it is a good game. I mean, you can't. I don't. That's what it doesn't give me. Is people say it's not a good game. Do you want to argue? Is it as good as Arkham City? Go ahead. That's fine. But is it a bad game and it sucks and you shouldn't even buy it? I think that's stupid talk. If you like Arkham City, you're gonna find something to enjoy in this game. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Did you guys enjoy the game? Did you guys enjoy the new features? Do you think that it really changed the gameplay? How did you guys feel about Joker being the main villain again? How do you guys feel about the Arkham series in general? Does this change things for you? How do you feel about how do you feel about the villains? Did you like all the villains? Do you like how they were introduced? Do you like how they were treated? How do you like the gameplay? Do you feel like the gameplay is cool? Do you like what they did with the characters? Talk to me and comment, like, do favor, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, because I will be reviewing Assassin's Creed 4 in a little bit. And I will be being a little bit more active in my video makings. It's just school's been busy, but yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later. Kurt 6693 out.